Well, we're still sitting up camping this Outwell Hayward Lake 5 ATC. ATC because it's air, technical cotton. And yeah, it's technical cotton. It's a polycotton fabric, feels like canvas, it feels like cotton. And that gives a lot more breathability in this tent. Much better sort of insulative properties over your normal sort of polyester type tents. So it's blazing hot today, baking outside. We've got the vents open. Actually, this tent is quite cool. Much cooler than outside and a lot cooler than the car, where I think we left some chocolate bars in there, which won't be very solid anymore. So yeah, so things are going well. Got a few more things to unpack and review, so let's get on with it. So we're just setting up the Unveiling air shelter for our kitchen. Shell's trying to hold it there. It's a bit wonky until you peg the thing out. It's not very stable. But the reason I'm not pegged out yet is because we've got this new extension for it, the connector. So you can connect the shelter to the tent. Now all of these tents, I'll just show you the tent here. So all the tents here have this new connection points for shelters and awnings. So we're just pitching it on the new Hayward Lake 5 ATC. So I'm going to undo this, see how big it is, and hopefully secure our shelter so shelter doesn't have to stand there holding it all night long. Right, so this I think is a bit of a fail. I don't think I've got this set up right at all. Well, that's definitely not right. Okay, a little better now. So we need to clip these side ones on. Got that holding around the top of the tent. So we've got a very large area. Somewhere to put the kitchen out the wind. It's fairly blowy here overnight, but the Unveiling air shelter stayed on the tent. So what I have learned from Outwell is that the air shelter we have is the Unveiling air shelter. It's the older model, and this connector works with the newer air shelter. So if you've got the old Unveiling air shelter, it doesn't quite connect up properly to the shelter, this connector piece, which is a bit of a shame, but it explains why these fittings don't clip on at certain points. Is because it doesn't have the attachment point, but it's stayed up and it's created a nice little corridor. It got quite cold last night, so, and windy, so nice little sheltered corridor out to the air shelter where we can cook and everything else. So yeah, not quite the right size, but it's been working. You need to go home. No, you want to stay here? Yeah. In your big inflatable kennel. Is that right? It's the end of our camp here. Our first test of the Outwell Hayward Lake 5 ATC. So just packing up, sorry, just trying to find my shoes to put on outside. Actually, before I get outside, let's go back inside. So let's show you a few more features of the tent. And some things I haven't quite shown is some of the bits and pieces. So again, this tent has zip up blinds. You can see our new trailer there. I'll talk about that in another video. Yeah, zip up blinds. So I set them at any height. Quick and quiet doors, I think you saw that. Front doors, privacy windows, tinted. Yeah, so basically this is kind of the top end range from Outwell. So being a top end range, it has a lot of features. Part of the really big feature, of course, is its technical cotton, and as you see here, it's been raining. Water's on the outside, it's still dry on the inside, which is good. But it's a lot thicker material, so we didn't actually hear the rain pitter pattering down like you do on a normal polyester tent, really. And it's been insulated quite well. So when it was warm, it wasn't so hot inside the tent, and when it's been cold, and it has got very cold actually for the end of May. We are 1,000 feet up here at the campsite. Has got quite cold, but it's insulated quite well. We've got the tent heater on in there at the moment, so Shell's just having a cuppa in front of the heater. But yeah, it's insulating quite well. Let's just show you a few little changes I noticed on the outside of the tent. So as you see outside, so it's stormy, it's spitting with rain at the moment, so we're going to have to try and dry this out at home. We don't really have the space to dry this out at home, so it's going to be a case of hoping the weather's good, and I'm rolling it probably in the front garden, a little bit of front lawn we have, just to dry the material out. Although if the weather's good, I might take it down to a local campsite actually, for another quick test, and it could dry out there too. But yeah, so all the usual things you expect to see on high-end tents like this. We've got doors both sides of the tent. You can unzip the fabric there, and you've got mesh. You might have seen that when we set up. It was really warm. We had both doors open, had really good airflow going through. We've pegged the guy lines out like so, because it's quite narrow on this pitch, so they're kind of out diagonally, but it's doing the job. So on the guy lines here, you've got the stabilizing system here, and it's coming down to the new tensioner here, which I showed on the sort of big feature video we did. So this should be able to operate one-handed, a bit different to the old plastic toggle. It just has a little friction system in here, so you can tension and loosen that like that, and that's worked quite well. I've not noticed, we've been under quite a bit of wind and everything, and I've not lost any tensions in the lines, so that's worked quite well with this floating guy line system here. Double the anchor points. Now here's one of the changes I've seen. Now I've seen these on, I think, a few Robin's tents. So normally, and you might have seen it on our big feature video, we talked about some of the guy lines attachments here, with the different webbing that's built into the seams to reinforce the strength, and also about the typical Outwell Velcro guy line storage that I've used for years now and has worked really well. What they've got instead of the Velcro is this little cord and toggle system. So again, wind the guy lines up and then put them in here and tighten. I don't know whether I prefer the Velcro or not. I'm used to the Velcro, so I'm going to have a few practice at this. It's probably going to work just as well as the Velcro. I do have a system with the Velcro where I can quickly wind up and then get the lines all together, so a little bit of practice with that. We've still got the Veil air shelter on the front with the connector. As you might have seen on the connector video, this is the wrong size. We've got the old air shelter. It doesn't quite connect fully, doesn't seal completely around the Veil air shelter. It made it work, but on the newer shelters you wouldn't have the gaps like this, and it connects a lot better. However, that's worked really well. Flipping around a bit now. Again, I think a bit more practice in getting it pitched, but it has meant that we've had a nice sheltered area there for cooking and sitting actually. So we need to get some guts cold. We've had a prevailing wind here, quite a cool wind all this time at the camp, and actually we start outside in this evening sun there and then move back in here and then move further back inside later on just before bed. But that sheltered area there has worked really well. We've had some good comments on that. We managed to peg out all the lines on the shelter there, just enough, but we've had really strong winds, and you see it wobble around a little bit, but it's been absolutely fine despite being an air shelter. Yeah, talking of air, obviously this has got power air tubes all the way through the system. The only thing that hasn't got a tube is this at the front here. This is the brow of the front porch of the Hayward Lake, which you can't see properly because we've got the connector on there. That's a big steel pole that goes all the way through. Not too difficult to put in, it zips into place, but again, putting that in makes you realise how convenient it is with the air. But it does create a really strong front porch there, and a really nice sheltered brow. The porch area inside this this sheltered area in front of this tent is quite substantial actually. Now it's only because we've got the connector on the front, we've extended out, but you could quite easily just put it there. In fact, the area there is big enough for, if you see from the front of the porch there to the start of the interior of the tent, that's big enough to put a kitchen unit or something there as well. So plenty of space on the front there, which is good. Let's go around the back of the tent here, into the wind and the rain. You can see all the clouds coming, and we've got to get this tent down. At the back you got the big ventilation system, as you've seen recent designs at the front there. And you can see all the water beading on the tent here. It's actually good that these Polycotton tents get wet and dry out, because it helps the material just sort of seal up a little bit further any of the stitching joints here. Makes the cotton expand, fill any stitching holes, so that's good. Windows all the way around, again, privacy blinds on there, just showed you the inside of that. So yeah, so far thumbs up. So we've only been here for a few days, and I think really a large tent like this is ideal more for holiday camping than a quick weekend break. Although it's only a 5-person tent rather than some of the big 7-person tent we've been camping in on holidays recently. Because it's Polycotton, it is very heavy, and really you need 2 people to lift it in place to avoid injury. Unfortunately I don't always have 2 people, but it is a very, very heavy tent. But you know, the fabric is really nice. I would really recommend though, only when you're going for a number of nights, like a week or something, really I think will make this more practical setup. But the material is excellent. So yeah, so that's the Hayward Lake 5ATC, and hopefully you'll see it soon in some other videos, because we'll be popping out in again soon. There we go. So now putting the tent away, touching and winding up the guy lines of the storage. Yeah, it works all right. I still used more the Velcro system. It seemed to be, you could wrap up, you wind the guy lines around your hand, and then you could just wind the Velcro around in the same motion. This you wind up and then stuff the wound guy lines through, and then tighten the clip here. This one doesn't look like it's going to hold in place too well. We'll see how it goes. You know, I think a few more pitches and practice with it, I'll get it mastered. It's cold.
I had to say.
Cold and wet. Cold and wet. So trying to, I don't know whether we're going to put it in its tent bag at the moment. We've got an area at the back of the trailer with a lot of wet stuff. Plenty weight over the axle on the forward part of the trailer. This can take quite a bit of weight, this trailer. We might put the wet stuff here at the back, and then when we get home, which ironically is nice and sunny apparently, we're at home, we can get this out and dry. There we go. Bye-bye tent. Back home and drying it out. Right, Bit of sun trying to come out. Another good use of our trailer is to help anchor the tent up, to help dry it out in our little garden. Okay, wow, looks like it's drying pretty quickly, this fabric. We'll get the sun this afternoon. Yeah, it's looking very dry already, so the air flows through it. That's the good thing about this fabric, it's quite breathable. It's a bit damp around the back there. Right, okay. Well, first pitch successful. It all packed and back in the bag. I forgot to get the pump in the bag, so that's just strapped on top. But yeah, they are ready for the next camp.